Section 9.1 is an introduction to algebra. So in algebra, we can use letters to represent numbers and work with algebraic expressions such as x plus 75, 8 times y, 29 minus t, and a over b. Sometimes a letter can represent various numbers. In that case, we call the letter a variable. So let a be equal to your age. Then a is a variable, and since a changes from year to year. Sometimes a letter can stand for just one number. In that case, we call the letter a constant. So let b be your date of birth, then b is a constant. We call 23.1 plus x an algebraic expression, and 23.1 plus x equals 1195.5 an algebraic equation. What makes these two different? Well, what makes these two different is the fact that the second one has an equal sign. So equations have equal signs. An algebraic expression consists of variables, constants, numerals, operation signs, and or grouping symbols. When we replace a variable with a number, we say that we are substituting for the variable. When we replace all of the variables in an expression with numbers and carry out the operations, we are evaluating the expression. So let's evaluate x plus y when x equals 37 and y equals 29. So x plus y, we want to plug in 37 when we see x and plug in 29 when we see y. Well, 37 plus 29 is going to give me 66. And so that is the value of our expression when we plug in x equals 37 and y equals 29. What about example number 2? The area A of a rectangle of length L and width W is given by the formula A equals L times W. Find the area when L is 24.5 and W is 16. So we're going to substitute this the same way. We have the area A equals length times width. Well, our L in this case was 24.5, and my width is 16, and 24.5 times 16, that's going to give me 392. This was given in inches, and when we talk about area, it ends up being square units. So the answer would be 392 square inches. For example number 3, commuting to work via bicycle has increased in popularity with the emerging concept of sharing bicycles. Bikes are picked up and returned at docking stations. The payment is approximately $1.50 per 30 minutes. Richard bicycles 18 miles to work. The time t in hours that it takes to bike 18 miles is given by t equals 18 over r, where r is the speed. Find the time for Richard to commute to work if his speed is 15 miles per hour. Well, that's a bunch of info. And so let's see what we actually need. So it tells me that the payment is approximately $1.50 per 30 minutes. He bicycles 18 miles to work. We're given this formula, which is probably pretty important. T equals 18 over R. And R is the speed. The goal is we want to know how much time it's going to take Richard to commute to work if his speed is 15 miles per hour. So we were given a bunch of information in this that we did not need to know. We don't care that the payment is approximately $1.50 per 30 minutes. We're not asking for payment. We really don't need this opening information. It's just kind of giving us an introduction to the problem. The important part is that his speed is 15 miles per hour. So using our formula, T equals 18 over R, we know that R, which is the speed, is 15 miles per hour. And so we get T equals 18 over 15, which ends up giving me 1.2. And what is the unit that goes with this? Well, T, we were told, is hours. So that means it takes him 1.2 hours to get to work if he's traveling at 15 miles per hour. And the last thing we want to talk about for this section is translating problems to equations. This tends to be one of the hardest things for students to do. So we have a little chart here that helps us translate word phrases to algebraic expressions. So whenever you see the word add, added to, sum, total, plus, more than, or increased by, that's going to translate to an addition sign. If you see the words subtract, subtracted from, difference, minus, less than, decreased by, or take away, that is going to translate into a subtraction sign. If you see multiply, multiplied by, product, times, or of, you'll see this one a lot. That is a multiplication. And then if you see divide, divided by, or quotient, that's going to be a division sign. So let's go ahead and translate the algebraic expressions. We have twice or 2 times some number. So what kind of symbol is twice or 2 times going to give me? That's going to be a multiplication symbol. So you could write twice or 2 times some number. We can just let y be our some number. We don't know what it is. That's one way to write it. We could also write it without that x for multiplication because it can be confusing if we use x as our letter. So just 2y. We also use a circular dot to show multiplication, so 2 dot y. And so those are the 3 main ways that we write multiplication. We'll really focus on the last 2. What about the next one? We have 38% of some number. And so that of is coming into play here. Of is multiplication. Now when we talk about percentages, we don't use percents when writing equations down. We use decimals. So the first thing we need to do is translate 38% into a decimal. And the way that we do that is we move the decimal point 2 spots to the left. And so 38% now becomes 0.38. And so 38%, 0.38 of some number. Of is going to be multiplication. And then again, some number, you can use whatever you want. You could use x, y, n, it doesn't matter. So we could write it this way. We could also write it without the multiplication symbol. Or we can write it with that times symbol. But we really try not to use this method because it can be confusing. What about 7 less than some number? That important word is less than. So less than indicates subtraction. So I'm saying 7 less than a number. So if the number were 10, then 7 less than 10 would be 3. And how would I write that? I would write 10 minus 7 is 3. So you have to be careful when talking about subtraction when it comes to the order. So if our number, which we don't know, is y, 7 less than that number would be y minus 7. Not 7 minus y. Two very different numbers. So you want to think backwards a little bit. 7 less than would be y minus 7. For the next one, we have 18 more than a number. So that important part is the more than, and more than is going to be an addition problem. Now with addition, order doesn't matter. So we could write 18 plus y, or we could write y plus 18. What about the next one? We have a number divided by 5. So that important part is divided by. That's going to be a division. So we could write this as a number, which we'll just use y, divided by 5. We could also write this as m, or our number, y, divided by 5. Or one last way is y divided by 5. All three of those are perfectly okay to write. You will see me write the last one the most. For the next one, we're going to combine some symbols here. 5 more than, so the important part is more than, 3 times some number. So more than is addition and times is multiplication. So 5 more than, 5 plus 3 times some number. So we'll just use y. We could also write this as 3y plus 5. And the last one. We have 6 less than the product of 2 numbers. So less than is subtraction and product is multiplication. We don't know what these 2 numbers are, so we can just use x and y. And it's 6 less than those product. So xy minus 6.